Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the Gaming on the Brain podcast.
Hello.
I'm Mark.
I'm Glenn.
And it's a big hello from us as always. We're on to episode number 6.
This is 6, yeah.
Episode number 6. I've lost count already. Episode 6 today. We're going to be talking to you guys about one of our favourite pew-pews or side-scrolling shooters.
Got 3 titles, yeah.
Yeah, from back in the day. I think you'll all most commonly know it as the Steel Empire.
Yeah, or Empire of Steel. Or if you're Japanese, Kotetsu Tikoku. Is that how you pronounce it, yeah?
Yeah, something like that. It was a Mega Drive game released in 1992. As I said, side-scrolling shooter. But a very, very accomplished side-scrolling shooter. And one that takes us back to the old days. A game that we both loved very much. But that'll be happening straight after the musical break. Before we get to that, I just want to discuss a couple of comments that we've had in the on the Facebook page, both from Roy Robertson, who will also be mentioning in the episode as well. One of my best pals.
Very integral to the episode, Roy.
Yes. He mentioned actually a Double Dragon episode, when we're going to do a Double Dragon episode. I mean, if anybody knows me and Glenn, they'll know Double Dragon's, one of our favourite games of all time. We will be getting to a Double Dragon episode at some point. We don't know which one.
Yeah.
That's the point. Yeah, we don't know which one. But we will pick one that deserves credit, which is the majority of them, to be fair, unless it's Double Dragon 3, Glenn.
Double Dragon 5, The Shadow Falls.
All 5, yeah. But we will, yes, Roy, hold out. We will get there, mate. And hopefully you will enjoy the episode. Roy also mentioned Grand Theft Auto. I know why he mentioned Grand Theft Auto. It's because obviously it's getting a lot of hits at the moment because of GTA 6 and whatnot. The reason why we probably won't do a GTA episode is it's not a game that neither myself or Glenn really bothered with. I mean, I enjoyed GTA 5 on the last generation, but the first one, I didn't really care too much for it. But it has made us think about potential specials in the future. Maybe some like games challenging the PEGI rate and things like that.
Yeah, we might touch on the whole series as well, incorporating other games that have had that effect as well with the ESRB and 1993 will be a key year.
We do have some specials in mind for the future because this is not going to be a 10 episode and done podcast. We're here because we love doing it, and we're going to keep doing it because we love doing it. And we love games.
And if you don't like it, we're going to keep doing it even more.
Yeah, we're going to keep doing it even more just to annoy the shit out of you. But we prefer it if you listened and got annoyed with us.
Yeah.
Now, the next 2 weeks are going to be a little bit different due to time constraints and holidays that we've got planned in. So we're actually recording an episode, and I'm going to spoil it for you, but we're recording an episode for Alien Storm, probably an episode. Well, it was probably the second recording we ever did, I think, was it?
I think it was our first. I think it was our first.
So we did an episode for Alien Storm, which over the last 6 weeks we've been trying to improve our format a little bit and just tweak things a little here and there to try and keep it interesting. So Alien Storm, forgive us if it's a little bit old-fashioned. Yeah. When I say old-fashioned, like the first one that we did, like Golden Axe, for example. But it's going to be a filler. But we'll release it as a proper episode because it was a full recording, along with the YouTube video for the long play and everything. Now, the week after that, which we'll also miss, we've got planned to do, we mentioned it actually before in the Pit Fighter episode, we've got some a bonus content episode for Pit Fighter, which is actually a ton of development documentation that Glenn got his hands on. I've actually took the time this week to scan all of that in. So what I'll probably do, and I know it won't be a proper episode and it won't get a numbered release either, but it'll be a sort of slideshow as such of all those items with a quick introduction, which we'll be recording next, Glenn. Right. But anyway, that's enough rambling on. We'll hopefully stick around, see you after the musical break, and I hope you guys enjoy the episode. And as always, give us a like or a comment or subscribe. Please keep coming back. We're going to be here for a long time, unless something happens to one of us, Glenn. But yeah, we'll see you shortly. Bye now.
Bye.
You've got Gaming on the Brain.
So, Big G, Empire of Steel.
Oh, Empire of Steel, Tokoku, Kutetsu, yeah, or Steel Empire, Empire of Steel, the Steel Empire.
Kutetsu
Tokoku, if we're pronouncing it right. But it does have a few different titles that all boil down to the same basic thing, don't they, mate?
So so in European territories, the Empire of Steel.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
In American
Steel
territories,
Empire.
It's the Steel Empire.
And in Japan, the Steel Empire, which is Tokoku.
Tokoku.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as you have probably guessed from what was said in the introduction, today's episode is all about the Steel Empire or Steel of Empire.
Yeah, that one, the same one,
Basically, it's got many names, but it still all comes back to one great game.
Yeah, one amazing horizontal shoot 'em up, which is probably, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. It's a Mega Drive game.
It is.
And Mark has a fine little story to tell us about it.
So this one, I think usually you get me into games, but I think this time round it was me who got you into a game.
Yeah, I just spied you playing this and the music and that. I was like, right, I was drawn in by what I saw on that screen. So
yeah, this one
might want to give a shout out to a certain person for owning it and letting it.
Well, funny enough, I think we'll have already mentioned my good pal Roy Robertson in the introduction, because I need to read out some comments from him. Obviously, we'll do the introduction after the podcast because apparently that's the way you do these things. But
I'm still learning.
Yeah, trying to get better every week. But so I remember Roy had this, I think, in a pile of games on his Japanese Mega Drive. Do you remember he had trucks
in that as well? Because he gave us a handful of them, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a Japanese Mega Drive back in the day, right? And basically, I think this was probably the only PAL release he had. Apologies if you can hear the trains in the background, everyone tooting the horns.
It's the Colossus Cannon train.
It is.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Setting it in the mood already. So yeah, I think this was the only PAL game that he kind of had lying around in this pile of games, and basically I wanted to have a look at it and played a bit of it, and I thought to myself, that's the kind of game that me and Glenn like to play. Probably in 2-player, I was thinking at the time.
It should have been,
not knowing it was actually only a 1-player game. But I bought it home, and Glenn was very interested in it, so we both enjoyed it. An excellent game.
I think if I want to just intervene for a second here with Mark saying, what it is for me is, I love all sorts of games, as you've probably guessed it now. We both do. And shooters aren't my number one go-to. For me, it's always been beat 'em ups, as we've discussed previously. But with Empire of Steel, I love this whole theme, this whole steampunk World War One stroke modern technology theme, which actually borrows elements of Jules Verne novels and a Japanese anime called Laputa, depending if I'm pronouncing this right, Laputa Castle in the Sky, which is where the inspiration for the characters and the enemies and the various different the scenery and everything basically takes influence from.
I think I don't know about you, but I'm probably just going to continue calling it the Steel Empire because I've been playing the NTSC version for longer than I remember.
It's easily Googleable.
Yeah.
It tends to be,
So the Steel Empire was released originally in 1992 on the Sega Mega Drive or /Sega Genesis by Hot B.
Yeah.
Under the lead game designer.
That's the Japanese version,
Yoshinori Satake, if I'm pronouncing that right. It was originally going to be published by a company called Sage's Creation.
Yeah, an American producer.
Yeah, and called Battle Wings in America. But publishing rights eventually fell to Flying Edge.
Offshoot of Acclaim, innit?
Yeah, and they settled on the name Steel Empire or Empire of Steel. It was released on an 8-megabit cartridge as well, so for the time, 1992, it was a fairly decent.
It was. That was where the 8 meg was definitely the norm. But to be honest with you, looking at Steel Empire, listening to Steel Empire, I could have been fooled into thinking it was a 12 meg.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the game in action, just watch a long play. You'll be hooked on the long play. Yeah, watch our long play. Yeah, of course but as I say, it's a very, very stunning game and far surpasses what they look. To be honest with you, it's Mark needs to mention as well that it actually was going to start life as an arcade game. Hot B originally intended this to be an arcade machine. Now it got so far into production apparently, but there's no known prototypes exist. So we don't know what the game actually looks like, but apparently, going by the small amount of information I can find on this, this was playable somewhere at some point, probably in some obscure Japanese test centre. So it may have existed. Been great to see even just a bit of footage of this version, because the the way the Mega Drive version looks and the way it plays and feels and sounds, the arcade machine would have been spectacular, no matter what hardware it had been running on. I mean, I can't even begin to guess, because I don't know what Hot B had if it had any part in any arcade games, actually.
The only thing I can maybe think of was possibly House of the Dead, but I think that was just like the later console versions or something, you know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, this game, I'll be honest, when you look at it, you could quite easily be fooled into thinking it was an arcade game anyway.
Yeah, definitely. The polish.
And
yeah.
sound as well. The sound
yeah,
is
the music,
right up there.
sound and music. Yes. I mean, it's got a fantastic soundtrack, this game. I mean, we'll get about it a bit. I mean, I suppose we're moving a little bit into the presentation a little bit now, I suppose.
Yeah, that's. I mean, we've kind of done an overview. Let's get into the meat of it, Glenn. So, the basically you start the game out. In fact, why don't you give us a bit of a story?
Yeah, the story. Now, I love the story because I mean, this game is about two different factions. I mean, both considered empires, so they're both like. One's an empire, one's a republic. So yeah, I mean, you get the vibe from the music in the game. Actually, even though it's not generally, when I say generally, that's a key word because we'll find out a while later. Generally, it's not a game set in space. You know, like R-Type or Gradius, you know, Darius, all those classics. It is a game set on like what looks like Earth, or a version of Earth. Yeah. You know, like a fictional alternate version of Earth, just like the Jules Verne novels, to be honest. And it looks like an ultimate version of World War One. I mean, the craft that you're fighting against, it says, I can't help but mention the enemies just quickly. They all look to be based on like Zeppelins and World War One biplane style fighters, and the tanks look like the type of tanks you saw in World War One with the Matildas and Mark Ones and that.
In fairness, the enemies that you come up against are probably like the only kind of indication you get of an era.
And again, it's got the steampunk vibe attached to it. But as far as the story goes, it's not just a simple invasion. I mean, the good guys are known as the Silverhead Republic, and the bad guys are the Motorhead Empire. And so the vibe, given that the Motorhead Empire is enormous and the Silverhead Republic is a much smaller ragtag group of sort of resistance fighters, which isn't exactly the case when you read into the story properly. Motorhead is massive and it is an enormous war machine. But what you find out is, as you read in the story, the Motorhead Empire rely mainly on steam and coal, and again the types of fossil fuels and propulsion that you would have expected from that era. And they're also quite a religious sect as well, apparently, I've found out. So they religiously rely on these various fossil fuels to exist and to basically use and propel their various different fantastic flying machines, which is great for them. Flying machines and tanks and various and unusual seacraft as well, because I won't even call them ships, because I don't think there's any real normal seafaring ship in the game. Every single water vessel is something just bizarre as the things you see on land and in the sky. Into though, mate. They're very, like
some interesting mashups in there.
Yeah, which we'll mention. Yeah. We'll not spoil these surprises just yet, because if you haven't played the game, there will be surprises and you will be impressed.
So, Big bad guy, General Styron, I think it is.
Yeah, that's his name. Now, he's called General Styron, or Styron, depending on how you want to pronounce it, but I would say it's Styron. And in the Western releases, that's this guy's name. But in the Japanese original, he's actually referred to as Sauron. Now, I'm going to guess to maybe change that because of the connection to the Lord of the Rings and
it makes
Tolkien.
Sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to step on toes, so to change the name does make perfect sense. And it's not even that big of a difference. To be fair, I'd rather see a new name than a name of an existing character, unless there's some sort of an analogy there, which quite possibly could be. But anyway, so what Sauron or Styron's wanting to do with his Motorhead Empire, he wants to destroy Silverhead, because he's jealous of their more modern and more futuristic tech. I mean, they rely on cold fusion, and they're much more based on electrical propulsion for their weapon systems and various ships and
probably
planes.
Got a really good charging network to back it up, unlike the UK as well. We'd just be fucked if we'd.
Yeah, totally. Right. But as I say, so he doesn't so much as want what they've got; he just wants to destroy it, which I thought was evil and at the same time very pragmatic, maybe. But again, it goes back to the religious side of it, that he doesn't believe in their technology. He doesn't want to steal it from himself, which would make sense from a bad guy, from like a bad guy with a sane mind would want to do. He just wants to take it out and
innovation is bad juju.
Yeah, innovate. Yeah, and again, I mean, this is one of the things. You know, you look at the style of the game, and you wonder if is it actually set in the future or not? Because, like I say, and is the Motorhead just wanting to keep their technology in the past? But it's a bit like me.
There's probably some rich oil baron there who's making a load of money from making everyone use.
Yeah, that's all it can be. But that's basically the story in a nutshell. I mean, so what you do is you have access to two different vessels. Can I call them vessels? I mean, because one's a plane and one's not. You have a small aeroplane called the Striker, which is a very classic-looking biplane, a World War I style biplane that is small and fast and has a basic Vulcan type attack, as you'd call it. Some people call the machine guns of these.
Yeah.
Is a basic ship in a vertical or horizontal shooter, and it also has a small spread of cluster bombs, carpet bombs or cluster, whatever you want to call it. And they're ideal for taking out ground targets. I mean, they can be used in air as well if you're above targets, but they're basically more designed to take out ground or surface targets of some sort, which does play into the game. Now you also have the Z01 airship, which Z obviously stands for Zeppelin.
I thought it was Zep.
Yeah, it's called Zep in some sources. It might be the Japanese source.
Right.
But the Z01 or the Z01, depending on how you pronounce it, that is slightly larger and slower than the Striker airplane. A little bit more resilient as well.
Yeah,
but
it has a bit more vitality.
It has exactly the same basic Vulcan attack. They both start with the same basic machine gun, if you want to call it that. But this, instead of the small spread of bombs, it now has basically a form of aerial mines. Now they fire up in an arc and then make their way down the screen as well at a slow rate. So they can still be used to attack surface and ground targets, because these fire out when you press the attack button anyway. This will happen occasionally, but they're much more suited to be used against targets that are actually above the Zeppelin, so bear that in mind in later parts of the game.
Rise up first, so it gives you an opportunity to spread over a larger area, and they actually come in really useful against one particular enemy later, which we'll get into.
What's so cool about Steel Empire is that you've got, again, it's sad it's only one player. This would have been perfect in two player, but it isn't. It is what it is. You get your choice of two different ships, and they're both perfectly balanced for the various levels of the game. So one ship will do better. You can play as any ship in any level, basically, but you will find very quickly that one ship will do better in one level than another, and they do tend to balance. The game has 7 levels, so it works out. I'll not say which ones yet, but it does work out that one of the craft is better on 4 levels and another craft is better on 3 of the levels. So it's not exactly 50-50, but you can get 50-50 on 7 levels. But it's as near as you can get, and that's perfect, I think. So, but that's some basics. I mean, I don't know if Marty would like to talk about the controls and the.
Well, before we get into that, just to add a little bit more onto it, this game is pretty much considered, I would say, a multi-directional scrolling shooter.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And when I say that, so you're not just flying from left to right, in which you typically will do in a game of this genre. There is occasions where you'll fly from right to left, or you'll be flying diagonally down the screen.
It's great because it's all scripted into the game as well, isn't it? There's reasons why this will happen, why you'll have a change of direction.
And you get enemies coming from behind and in front, and from the floor, or above actually as well. So you can actually fire in both directions, and to do that you use the B or C buttons to pick which side you want to
you can fire left or right, which is very rare in a shooter, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It comes in very handy in this game, because there's a lot of time where you'll be flying around bosses and you'll want to shoot backwards and stuff like that. So, you know, hats off to them for the control scheme. It works very well. Your other button, your A button, that releases what they call the devastating lightning bomb.
Yeah, which is a smart bomb, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big smart bomb, and it does quite a lot of damage. You tend to, maybe be able to collect 3 or 4 at a time.
And you stockpile them, don't you? Tend to keep them for very tough bits. There's one section, though, in certain levels, it's level 5, I think, and level 6, where you fight these weird silver saucer-shaped objects, don't you? And they move in zigzag pattern. And you use a bomb then, because every time you kill one, it lets out a power-up. And oftentimes you use one bomb, and you get 2 or 3 in return, don't you? It's handy to use the bomb.
Now that you say that, I've got that mentioned when I go through the levels, but I never actually used the bomb. I never even thought about it.
I don't know. I tend to, because it takes quite a few hits, so I always like to just let the thing out and go, right, I'll pick up as much as I can.
I'm starting to think that you are considerably smarter than me.
I don't think I am, mate.
But yeah, look, it's like I say, the control scheme, very basic, up, down, left, right, etc., etc. You've got your free action buttons as you do. We've explained what they do. The let's just say the controls feel incredibly tight.
Yeah.
As Glenn mentioned, the Zeppelin is a little bit slower.
And it's, even then, it's not slow, is it? You wouldn't say it's slow. You could happily play through that game with it. Yeah. I mean, it's just slightly slower and slightly larger, which it should be, because that's what it is. And
I think the developers have balanced that out a little bit by giving it a little bit more health than the striker, because you expect to take a few more hits. But it's both crafts are really well balanced, and like we said, their particular use in certain levels becomes quite evident, and it definitely makes a level easier if you've picked the right craft. We will do you guys a favour and obviously tell you which craft to pick for each level.
Yeah.
Whether you pay attention or not.
And it is, the thing is, it is quite, I hate to say the word strict, because that almost implies that you really can't play as the opposite craft, and we've just said that you can.
Yeah,
but you will find, if you play it 2 or 3 times, that you will. There's no level in Steel Empire that is absolutely neutral, is there though? No. There's no level out of all 7 that's neutral. Every single level you will find that one will be better than the other.
Yeah. And so that's because you're either predominantly, fighting surface air targets,
or air targets.
There's a lot of air targets and surface targets.
But again, that says so. Using the word strict, but obviously to want to give yourself a bit more challenge here and there, then there's no harm in going out of your way to play through with the opposite craft to what you should be playing on that level, or what is more useful for that level, because you'll still be able to play and enjoy it, but it will give yourself a few more extra challenges here and there. So as a little bit of bragging rights, it's not a bad thing to try out at all.
Now, one of the things that we've already said, particularly like about this game, the graphics. I mean, wow.
Rich colour, absolutely rich.
Yeah, I mean, some of the levels, you wouldn't think they were running on a Mega Drive. You'd think they'd be running on the SNES or arcade.
When I was playing the other day, I mean, it was Gardani Beach, level 4. The amount of parallax in the background was just absolutely astounding.
I counted 5 or 6 layers.
That's just
on the level of parallax.
It just looks fantastic. It just brings you into the level. Bear in mind, this is a 2D game from 1992, but with the tunes in the background and that, and seeing what you see in that, you just get drawn straight into the game, and that is amazing for what is essentially just a 2D game.
Yeah.
It is. It's some of the most graphically. It's one of the most graphically superior shooters I've seen on the Mega Drive, and obviously there's things like Thunder Force 4 that came later, which was still fantastic. But they were a little bit later still, So to see Steel Empire do this in '92, is just astounding. Like,
well, I mean, the way I see it, you've got a good mix of smaller enemies, which are all fairly interesting.
They're all still great. I mean, weird flapping planes and that, and auto gyros, and the little tanks, as I said, they even have a little steam. They've even got a little like a little exhaust pipe on the top, so they're puffing off steam as they chug along. It's like, this is a tiny little sprite, about 5 mil big. You know what I mean? It's just amazing, the level of detail.
You've got quite a decent range of like mid-level size enemies, which fill like half a screen typically.
Yeah.
And then you've got some massive enemies that are basically background layers that are so big.
Yeah.
And you'll go around and they've all got multiple gun emplacements that you can blow off individually to weaken certain parts.
Yeah,
there'll be doors opening and allowing smaller aircraft out, which you can destroy and stop that happening and stuff, And you can target like all the weapons, can't you, and destroy each part of the bosses at any one time.
That's something else about the enemy weapons as well. Not talking about the enemies themselves yet, but speaking about the enemy weapons. Again, this believe it or not, feeds into presentation.
Yeah.
What I'm going to say does feed into presentation, because in the English language manual, it does go into detail about the bosses. It doesn't talk much about the popcorn enemies, because people like to call them popcorn as well.
Yeah, as in the filler.
Yeah, like the littlest ones, 1 or 2 hits and that. But they go into a little bit detail about the bosses and what they're armed with and how they attack. I mean, there's such things as trumpet guns and flame blasters, and I mean, and normally in many games like this, you might have 2 or 3 different enemy projectiles coming at you, like different types. You might have missiles and a couple of bullets that don't home in, and maybe the odd laser or 2. But Steel Empire's got that many different types of things firing at you, and you do really need to know what's getting shot at you to have any idea of how to avoid it. Or it's not the same as the cave shoot 'em ups, where they rely on different coloured. A different colour code to depend on how you have to react to the weaponry and that for your bonuses. It's not like that. It's too early.
Like Radiant Silver.
Yeah, with Radiant, it's not like yes, it's not their type of system at all.
It's nothing like that.
It's nothing. It's not. That's not what I'm trying to say. But just that, like, you need to know what's being fired at you to help avoid it. I mean, for instance, some of the bosses have small homing missiles, and these can be shot. But then other stuff can't. You'll find out later on without us to spoil it for you that one particular boss, where I've given it away, you can avoid its attacks by using some of the scenery as a form of defence, but you wouldn't know that initially till you did a bit of exploring and a bit nosing about with the game itself.
Another moment where I look stupid.
But I didn't find out until somebody else showed us.
Well, when I was going through the playthrough that I recorded for the YouTube episode last night, and I was writing down notes for the levels and stuff, I actually noticed what you were talking about. I won't say too much now. We'll get into it when we're talking about fighting the boss. But
it's important.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty obvious when you look at it now, But I guess presentation as well. Another part of that, the cinematics.
Oh, and again, they've even got the flicker, which, by the way, don't put your head too close to the screen, because the flicker can actually do some damage.
I probably need to put an epilepsy warning on the YouTube video.
Yeah. But they're done in exactly the style of an old sort of black and white silent movie, and it just looks great. Like, it's just exactly like a war propaganda film, from World War One or early World War Two stuff.
Well, you see that, I hate to jump right to the end of the game, but in the final part, in the cinematic, like the credit sequence, I don't know if you noticed, but at the bottom it's got like presented in I wrote it down.
Technicolor.
No, it was presented in what was it called? Sorry, I have got it here.
It'll be that.
We'll get to it anyway.
Yeah. I didn't know.
That was it. Cube Stereo, it was a rip off of the Dolby logo.
Oh,
and it's like it's brilliant.
It's funny. I'm pleased you say this, because we nearly forgot this. It's presentation related as well. But I remember looking at the website for the GBA remake. Now all this stuff, bear in mind, came from the original developers as well, so it is all official and does apply to the Mega Drive version. But they made up like what looks to be a fake sort of backstory about how the game came about. They say it was based on a novel, and not a Jules Verne novel, but the novel, if I'm saying it right, is Imperio do Acerio. I think that's how you pronounce it, and it actually translates to the Steel Empire.
Right.
I believe that sounds actually Italian, doesn't it, or something? I'm not sure now.
Something like that, yeah.
But anyway, whichever language it is, because I haven't checked completely, I just went by what I've read. It's from 1819 apparently, but they can't find any evidence that all of this book ever existed. And 1819 is not like it's the Middle Ages, so there would be evidence of this book somewhere. Yeah. So I think it was created just to give not just the game, but the development of the game, and to give it a bit more like PR.
Yes.
And there's a few other bits and pieces as well like that, and there was stuff on the website that just fleshed out the history and the narrative of the game itself, And I thought it's great sort of PR to make the game big. It was nice to say it did actually do quite well, actually, because I thought it didn't at first as well.
I'll be honest, I didn't check. One thing I usually do, I do have a look at review scores, I look at like estimated sales. And I didn't on this one, so to
I'd only ever read about 2 reviews back in the day, and it's got pretty middle reviews, like 60s and 70s, and I thought...
It's definitely a better game.
It's way better, yeah. It's up there with the top 5, maybe, Mega Drive shooters.
I think I would need to talk about sound and music, Glenn. So, the music, as Glenn's already stated, it's very, very good. And I think even the development team knew it was very good, because the title screen itself has the musical sheet scrolling along the screen as the main
I'd love to try and find out if that is actually workable.
It will be.
I wouldn't be surprised
doing it if it wasn't.
But I did find out, the thing with Steel Empire as well, every single tune fits the environment you're in.
Yeah.
They've really looked at it. There's no way they've just slapped on tunes without any thought. They've given this a massive thought. Every level. From the intense sort of like, let's get on with it sort of vibe of level 1, all the way through to sort of like the semi-victorious theme of level 6, when you've actually taken the fight to them. And I thought, and anything in between. When the
pushes you, doesn't it? It actually giddies you up for the fight.
This shows how much the game put an impression on me. I remember Mark playing it, and the first tune that stuck out to me, and I think the reason I looked at the screen when he was playing it, was that the music was playing on a level, and then it kicked into a sort of very like nefarious sort of evil military theme, and I had to look at the screen, and he was fighting the floating fortress. It's not a true mid-boss, but it's a very big obstacle in one of the levels, and it was like, oh Christ, this is cool. It was like an enormous flying fort, like flying castle made of stone, and that that was the first thing that had me hooked. Just put hearing that tune, and because the music changed so dramatically and so quickly, you just had to stop and look and see what was going on. Because I knew something big was coming. You know, you just knew it.
The boss fight music, it's just the right level of sinister as fuck.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know straight away something big and evil's coming. Well, it's great. Like, it sets you up for it.
Do you know what it is? It's the first time. It's not just that's the sound effects up, like the Colossus. You don't even see it. The music drifts off, and you just hear the train start up, and then it
when
just
it comes on the screen,
music, and it's like, that's cool. I said, obviously, we'll get back to some little changes in one of the other versions later that they made that even cooler still. But you know, for the Mega Drive to do that, but the new, like, literally, it looks like I've thought about every little aspect of the game.
It is.
There's nothing being skimmed over at all, and I thought that's just
attention to detail in this game is second to none.
Absolutely. Really and again, I said, like, going back to just what I said. I mean, obviously we discuss our own reviews later, but going back to reviews I read at the time, like contemporary magazines and that, they did give it middling to good reviews. Like I said, I've seen some maybe 6s, maybe 1 or 2 8s. I didn't see a load of reviews like as though I maybe just didn't get enough.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if it came out in like a busy period when there was a lot of big games.
Well, it did though. The thing is, in '92 you had that much. I mean, '92 was probably a peak year for Mega Drive.
Yeah.
It wasn't starting to trail off till about back in the '93, '94 where things started to slow down a little bit. As newer consoles were coming in. And
I can't say for definite, but I think had it come out in a quieter time, people probably would have spent more time and actually noticed all the little details.
Like, you've got to remember, it's coming out after things like Thunder Force 3. I mean, you've Glare Lancer and that, and Eliminate Down and all them. I mean, there was a lot of, all space shooters, but they were all generally well received and all. And I mean, some of these were Japan only, but people were importing left, right, and centre. I mean, you remember Collins, don't you?
Oh, God,
maybe that's
Megaware.
We might have to make an article on Colin Megaware one day. Honestly, he was a legend. But this guy could get anything, you know. And I mean, you would see some stuff that, like, well, he had Neo Geos and all, didn't he? So seeing the stuff on the Neo Geo, and that just blew us away. But it was a golden time to be a gamer, like it was.
But the music, a fantastic use of the Yamaha 2612, like it's really good.
And I do stand by the music of the Mega Drive version being the best of the 3 main versions of the game as well.
I agree.
Absolutely.
We'll touch on that later.
Yeah, definitely.
The sound effects, I would say decent. You know, there's
good
no
enough,
sample sounds.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think the sound of you hitting the enemies sounds silly. It should be more of like a metallic sound, which they use for later versions, which makes more sense.
More like a ticking sound.
It's like I can't describe it. It sounds almost organic.
Yeah,
like an organic sound effect. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's probably been deliberately done because it's a weird sound so you know you're definitely damaging the thing. Yeah. Plus, the enemies always flash as well if you're talking about bosses and that. I mean, all enemies make the same sound. But at least you know you're hitting it and you're damaging it because it makes a ting, ting, ting. If you hit something, it can't be hurt. So it does make it metallic.
I never noticed any sound clipping or anything in the game either. So, you know, like they seem to have the channels balanced nicely. So there's a lot, you know, everywhere's got its own channel. You don't lose any sounds.
No,
what I mean.
Sounds great.
Like because of the music or vice versa. You don't lose any music because of the sound effects, that kind of thing. So
I think
we're looking at Streets of Rage 3 there.
I think if you moved away from sound effects for 1 second, no one mentioned like any criticism about about how, you know, the game is struggling a bit is where you get a bit slowed down.
Yeah, there's a fair
level
bit.
3 has a very
3 and 4. I was gonna say,
you fight one of them large airships, don't you?
Yeah,
where it's got a couple of paddles on the side, and that bit there, there's a lot of bullets because it fires a lot of bullets at you, and that has a bit of slowdown and screen break up at the time, and then it never happens again. So
yeah, that's it. It's
obviously you wouldn't keep that for criticism, but it's just like it just shows that like the game is trying hard. You know what I mean? Aye. It's working hard with the 8 meg cartridge. So,
but so yeah, I mean, look, I haven't really got much more to say on sound music myself. Why don't we talk about the actual enemies?
Oh, quite well.
I mean,
we'll talk about the level.
Why don't we do what we did last time? We'll do the
levels with the enemies, with the bosses in there. I'd like to take over this point because I've got very well. We both have fond memories of. Like I say, we won't break down the regular enemies because there's that many of them, and we've already done a rough sort of overview of what you fight. I mean, there's some amazing stuff. We don't want to spoil too much, so you want to play it yourself. There's little mini castles as well with little propellers and that firing mini cannons. There's all sorts of emplacements and stuff like that. So you'll see all that for yourself. But I do want to talk about the bosses and the 7 levels of the game. Now we'll begin our mission in the Mine City Wall. Now, Mine City Wall is it's a pretty easy level because it should be. I mean, you start with it's a air to ground level. Now, the best, we'll go into this now as well. The best vessel you should be using for this level is actually a Striker airplane. Yeah. Again, because going by what I've already just given away, it's an air to ground level, so it's got the bombs, so it does actually work better for this level. Some of the enemies that you fight are weird sort of windmills that will actually take off like rockets when you shoot them, and then they fire at you again. It's weird, it's bizarre, and again, just how creative. I mean, the level itself looks very much like what you'd expect from a World War One war-torn city. I mean, there's buildings in the background.
There's a ton of colour in the level.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Little background. They have like what looks like Russian palaces and that in the background, you know?
Yeah.
We always get that vibe with it, and all. Like, I mean, like maybe there's a Russian vibe to some of this, you know? But just the colours and used, like a lot of purples and purple and gold to create the buildings, which look very majestic, don't they?
There's a lot of ground enemies in here. There's a lot of smaller air enemies.
Yeah.
It doesn't waste time though, Glenn, in shooting the bigger enemies at you.
It doesn't, and you do have one big notable enemy without being a true boss. It's actually a form of carrier. It drops tanks. It drops little tanks on parachutes, and it takes quite a bit of firepower to kill. And there's about 3 of them come across. And while you're in your unpowered up state, it's rare that you'll actually be able to kill them. But on a later level in the game, you do actually see this vessel in full, and it's actually quite big and quite menacing. But I mean, as I said, it's nothing more than what you might want to call an elite level enemy. It's not even a middle boss. Now, the true middle boss, bear in mind, nearly every level, not actually every level, nearly every level has a middle boss and an end boss. And the middle boss of this level is a mid-size flying battleship called the Type 2 Sky Clipper, actually. And it's quite cool looking. It's great. Bear in mind, this is a middle boss. It's the first middle boss of the game. It's about 6 or 7 times the size of your plane. It's hardly a screen filler, but it's about half the screen size. It attacks with various rockets and gun emplacements. The thing is about all the bosses as well, you don't just fire at this thing until it goes up in smoke. They tend to have various phases to them. And if not actual phases, they'll have various destructible points, as Mark discussed earlier when talking about bosses at the beginning, and various large vehicles. And now, this ship, the Type 2 Sky Clipper, does have a couple of different phases to it. I mean, initially it starts out just firing rockets directly at you. The rockets aren't homing, and they fire from the back and the front. So the first port of call is to basically be taking out the front and back portions of the ship. It's suspended, it's flying in the air with 4 propellers on top. Like I say, it's a flying battleship. It looks more like something that should be stuck in the sea, but clearly it's not. You take out the rockets, and it's got a few aerial bombs as well that fire at the top. So you move from shooting the bottom 2 portions, to then taking out the 2 gun emplacement areas at the top, and then that finishes it off. But it takes a fair bit of punishment, and it's easy, but it's not a breeze. I mean, it's not like you'll probably take a few hits, you know. Especially if you play on one of the higher difficulties, you know. I mean, it's a worthy mid-level level 1 boss. But anyway, you shoot that, and that catches fire, and it doesn't just blow up in explosions, which I thought was cool. It actually does, like, basically, you shoot it down, and it will drift off the screen in flames, you know. And I think that looks cool as hell. The boss of this level is, as mentioned earlier, something called the Colossus Cannon Train. And it's one of the biggest bosses in the game, which is great for the first boss. It's so impressive. Initially, when you do get to see it, because it's got a very ominous opening to it, you know, which I would discussed earlier, where you could hear the train before you even see it. It actually has an enormous cannon on the back.
Telescopic,
hence its name, a telescoping cannon, as in it's on an arm that can stretch up or down. Fires massive cannonballs, almost the size of your plane, directly at you. Don't home in or anything like that. And it's quite easy to avoid, really.
Yeah.
But the aim of this area is because the cannon actually pivots, what would the word be? It telescopes slower than you move up or down. So the idea, again, it's like a puzzle boss to some degree. The idea is to move up the screen to some degree, and then move back down to target the unprotected telescoping area of the actual cannon. The hydraulic ram, or whatever you want to call it, you know. And then once you shoot that enough time, the cannon explodes. So you destroy that part, and then there's a second carriage after that one, after the first gun carriage, which has a couple of turrets on. Turrets are not spectacular or anything, just fire simple bullets straight at you. So this bit isn't too difficult, but you need to destroy them, a couple of the turrets, and then you'll take on the locomotive itself. Now that has this pretty mean spread gun on the side of it, which fires bullets in all directions. It also has, I believe it has a couple of other shots as well. It doesn't just try and ram you, does it?
No, it's got
homing
it's got home missiles, and there's a little gun emplacement pops up on the side of the engine. that
one with the fires of 360 volley, aye.
360 volley,
And also occasionally, if you, to hit this thing, really, I mean, obviously if you're using the striker or even the Zep, because the mines will hit it, you want to be flying above it for the most part and just peppering it with bombs.
Definitely.
But you can get down in its face, basically, because it's massive. So getting down in front of the loco as it's coming towards you and shoot directly backwards into it.
Yeah.
And all of it's vulnerable. You don't have to just shoot into the windows and that. But it will, you've got to watch out for this, it will occasionally stop, as in the screen will stop and the train will try and ram you. It's got this massive disgusting looking blade on the front and
it's
got what looks like a
plough type thing,
it's got it should be a plough, but it looks more like somebody's knife, an enormous bayonet stuck to the front. So, but again, don't get hit by any of it. Not too hard to kill. It's a lot more imposing looking than it is to kill, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it just looks great, and it's a really fun fight. Anyway, on to level 2. Now, level 2 is...
actually, Glenn, before we go on to level 2, one thing that we've missed completely, you mentioned in level 1 there about being unleveled up, like lower level. So what we didn't mention, one thing I really like about this, actually, you don't pick up other weapons in this game.
Yeah,
so you've
you
got
level
your
up
basic
one
shot,
gun, yeah.
But you can pick up these EX pickups, which is basically experience.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you pick up 3, you level up and you can reach up to level 20.
Yeah.
And between level 1 and level 20 is significant in the amount of damage.
Yeah, we found this out the hardware. Basically, you need to pick up every single one. Generally speaking, you're definitely fully powered up by level 6.
Around about level 6,
they are crucial to the game. But it's great. What's really good about Steel Empire, which really gets me to love this game over nearly any other horizontal shooter, is that if you die, you don't lose your experience. It does make it easier, which I don't have a problem with that, but it's quite a long game. It's nearly an hour long. But I believe it. I mean, you can also pick up like little optional drones, so you do lose those if you lose a life. So although they do help, it's not a game changer to lose those. Where I've seen so many classic shooters where when you lose a life and you lose your power ups, you literally could be stuck. You've literally you've soft locked the game almost. Yeah, you've almost soft locked the game because it's so hard now. Like you're very unlikely to get any further with your tour plan shooters are guilty of that sometimes. Yeah, I've noticed.
There's also a pickup with an S. And I was talking to you about this yesterday, wasn't I?
Yeah.
I'm still trying to work out whether this is a stamina. And when I say stamina, as I mentioned before, the striker player and the Zep have different levels of energy. Because it's not a one-hit kill you. You've got an energy
and you
bar.
take quite a bit of hits and all, don't you?
You take a few hits, yeah. But what you notice between level 1 and level 7, those stamina bars increase in size. So I'm wondering, is the S a stamina pickup?
Yeah,
I don't think it's adds to your stamina experience. Because it's not speed, because you don't notice any difference in the speed.
No, and you shouldn't. I just don't think it's at all. No.
And then talking about the GBA ones, it's a completely different icon again. Like it could be stamina or something.
It's either the GBA or the DS that actually has also a full life icon. I think it was a gold heart. I can't remember now. It might have been a gold heart, and you pick them that and you just get a full life.
Fills your
don't think that's on the Mega Drive at all, if I remember right.
No, it's not. It's not.
So that would make the game easier.
So I'll get these other few little notes out before you go on to level 2.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
So one of the things I said, when you lose all your lives at the start of a boss, because I remember I lost the credit pretty early on. It must be like level 2 or something, and I was maybe only halfway to the level, and it started as back at the beginning of the level. I was thinking, oh fuck, it's one of them. I'm going to be on here just trying to finish this, because I couldn't remember. But then if you get to a boss fight and you die, you actually respawn at the checkpoint, which is the boss. So you start from there again, which is quite generous, to be fair. So that's a good thing. You start with 3 credits and 4 lives. And we didn't mention this, but difficulty-wise, I would have said it's quite well balanced. If I'm honest.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I never used to play on any harder than normal anyway.
Yeah.
But even easy sometimes, just because I felt like it. But it was just for an enjoyable playthrough, that's all.
The rest of these difficulty notes are probably more directed at certain enemies in the game. So, sorry to butt in, mate. Let's do level 2.
Oh, no, but right. Well, it's the Caverns of Leidengal, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Leidengal or something.
Leidengal, have you said now? I've noticed that in the 3DS and the GBA versions, some of the names of the levels now have been changed a bit. Now, I'm not going to go with that because we are focusing more on the Mega Drive with the other 2 versions to be mentioned later on, just for a little bit of a talk about.
Probably because of stupid Europeans.
No, I think, to be honest with you, I think the other 2 versions actually translated directly from the Japanese version.
Right.
So I've looked at the English, and the English is atrocious. I think they've literally possibly changed it mechanically, as opposed to like getting someone to go in and actually change stuff and changing names where they felt it's
Yeah,
appropriate.
yeah.
So I noticed that I thought like that's not being done properly. That it's just being done quickly. So they probably have actually changed names like for like. Lie Dengle actually it's something to do with angels, going by what was so it's actually probably a real word.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but again, the name of the level's a bit of a giveaway. I mean, it's an underground level where you're in the dark for part of it. I mean, don't worry, you're not actually in the dark. It's just like it's got like lanterns, lighting the way.
Yeah, and everything's vivid as well. It's, like,
yeah,
difficult
that's
to
it.
see.
You've got like bits of simple sort of transparency effect in there, trying to make it look darker and that. Give you a little bit of restriction in light, but not too much. A lot of the enemies here are, I mean, still fighting flying enemies. I mean, it is still a big enough area to move around in, and fly. But you've got a lot of little tanks and little gun emplacements that have.
Makes the striker a good choice for this level as well.
What's interesting here is it is a striker, but I've seen people occasionally use the Zep. So if there was a level that might border on almost neutral,
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, generally the striker's still the best craft for this level. 2 bosses again. A middle boss and end boss.
But there's rock falls as well.
We've got Well, the rock falls are that comes into play after fighting the first boss, isn't it? The middle boss.
No, what happens is you get the rock falls. So you do 3 rock falls. So it scrolls diagonally as the rock falls.
And they're coming back, but you can shoot them as well, though.
Yeah, you can shoot the rocks out of the sky, so they never really pose a big threat.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the bottom of all the rock falls,
that's when you take on the tunnel
across tank. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It basically looks like a big. It looks like Ostro off Mario 2 is being grafted to the front of it. It doesn't fire
the robot version. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool looking vehicle. It's not very big as well. It's a strange looking purple contraption. I mean, to call it the tank is odd, but it's called the tunnel tank. But again, its main feature is, as Mark says, it's got like what looks like an Ostro mouth or Birdo, is it?
Whichever
one. I don't know, because I've seen it called 2 different things. But either way, that gay purple thing. Right?
Yeah, that thing.
With a bonnet head. It spits eggs at you. Now, the tunnel tank doesn't spit eggs at you. In fact, it spits nothing like that at you at all that would give birth to small versions of itself. It just ends up firing missiles, lots of little missiles.
And it's also rockets. Telescopic as well.
That's what it does is, what its little speciality is, it does something similar to what the cannon did on the cannon train in the first boss, in that it'll raise up and down to meet where you were like in relation to it. What you need to be doing is, but I'm pretty sure you can just shoot the whole thing. You don't have to shoot the hydraulics. You can just shoot the light on the front. Shoot it enough times, and it stops extending the top half of the tank, and it just sits on the bottom and continues to move backwards. But it still fires the rockets, except the rockets now simply move up and down to meet you. It's actually quite easy. It's probably easier than the first middle boss, really, because it literally just attacks us one way, and it's very easy to follow its pattern. You just lead the rockets and then move downwards to attack it again, or even just drop bombs on it. Quite easy, but it's interesting. But the death of this vehicle triggers off the second feature of this level, which is like explosive sparks that create that ignite the gases in the caverns.
Is that what's happening?
Which you warned about, on the intro. You warned to watch out for, and the death of the tunnel tanks what triggers it. It's actually more noticeable on the later versions of the game than the Mega Drive, which I thought was quite cool, because you don't really notice
it. Any indication.
It doesn't at all. It looks like it's just got electric arcs around it, doesn't it? It crashes and stops. It doesn't blow up the same as the other bosses. It just stops, doesn't it? And it's all mangled.
Yeah.
But the next thing you know, you scroll off screen, and then there's an explosion, and then you end up going from right to left at a much faster pace. Which is quite a tough move, actually. The one good thing about this is, and it is less on harder levels, harder difficulty, but you get like a lot of energy pickups here, because you will take damage. What happens is
you keep hitting the scenery.
It's a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet of thin tunnels leading up and down and diagonals, and there's still enemies to fight as well, although not as many. And most of them are just like bonus balloons and that. But you do have to be careful in this section, because if you're not used to it, or you're not very quick on your toes, you will lose a life here. It's not a very long section though, and once you get out of this area, you end up fighting the game's end of level 2 boss, which is the mole tank. Now, this vehicle is very, very different from what you're seeing in the tunnel tank. It looks like a giant sort of drilling machine.
TBM, tunnel boring machine.
Yeah, it is, and it's got the drills on it. I mean, it's covered in drills. It also has like a sort of turret on the top, which has its own cannons. This thing has turrets on the side. It's got a turret on the front and one on the back. So it's firing loads of shit at you as usual there. Once you've done enough damage to them 2 turrets, the top part of the tank lifts off, and that sort of flies around, and that has its own little cannon.
Yeah.
Which fires a little cannon, sticks at the bottom, doesn't it? Pops
I
out.
think it does, yeah.
So you've got that thing firing at you as well, and it's quite nasty. It's not a very big boss. I mean, it's not even about half the size of the Colossus from level 1, but it doesn't need to be because it's nasty in itself. But when the top pops off, you do enough damage to that, and you might think, like, probably not much more to go. And then you've got to keep your eye on the base of the tank, because another little turret pops up from the tank, doesn't it? Like a little triple gun comes up. It's got 3 barrels, and that starts firing. Are they like volley bombs? Start firing volley, like,
I think. Oh yeah,
like more like grey sort of like. What would the best way to describe? Like what comes out of a volcano, basically. So it's actually quite easy to avoid because of the way the fire.
You can just stand in one place.
It's not, but
fly in one place.
It's just if you stay out of the way, you'll destroy it pretty easy. But you hit this cannon enough times and you've destroyed the whole tank. But again, it's just as with the previous bosses, it's another cool boss that's been so well designed and with love, like, from the development team.
Yeah. Stage 3 is Sky District Sector or something.
Yeah, Sky District Sector. Well, this is probably my favourite level. I love the music.
Yeah.
It's just atmospheric because you're in the sky, you're seeing the cloud. Lovely parallax again.
It is, right.
Lots of new enemies here as well, and bigger enemies, like bigger popcorn and elite level enemies, like mini bosses, not middle bosses, but mini bosses, characters that should take a lot of damage.
Because it's the Sky District, it's the first level we would seriously suggest using the Zep.
And it does work perfectly,
yeah.
And it really does want you to use this vessel, because you'll find out why later on. Mainly because of the upward firing aerial mines, because they're very handy for this. And again, you've got a lot of bullets in the sky now, because you haven't got any obstacles, like as in to crash into, because it's completely in the sky. So you've got no surface obstacles or roof obstacles like the cavern or like the rails on the level 1 or the tunnels and that. So it is an open level. Like I say, this level is interesting because it's still strictly only got a middle boss and an end boss, but it almost implies that it's got another boss, even though it's not strictly true. The target of this level is actually is a vessel called the Floating Fortress.
Yeah.
Now, what this actually is it's not a boss in itself. It's more of a part. What would you say? It's part of the scenery, really.
It's
what can we compare it to? Another game where it's not like an actual boss. It's just it's referred to as
it looks like something out of Mega Man, the air stage.
I know what you mean. Or like Mario 3, you had the ships and that.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is, right, it's flying. Like I say, it's all scripted. It's like a scripted boss, if you want to call that. Yeah, idea is it's a big massive stone fortress, and it's got lots of propellers and gun turrets and like little hatches where it releases little planes and auto gyros and that. And I mean, you can hit them if you want, or you don't have to. It actually doesn't make any difference apart from score. I mean, you're meant to destroy it in the narrative of the story, but it's not a boss. So just do as much damage as you can to what you can. I mean, you can't destroy most of the stone turrets anyway. So basically what happens is, and it is fairly easy. There's a couple of sections where you've got to be careful on you, like you can get trapped near the top.
Yeah.
And when it moves upwards, because it does, again, it's scripted, so it's part of the scroll. And if you don't move far enough to the top of the screen, you'll get caught on the battlements and you'll do damage and potentially lose a life. So just be wary of where you are and where you move, because you can get trapped. But once you're over it and you've done your last bit of damage, well, actually, I messed up a little bit here because I forgot to mention the middle boss. But I'll go back to that in a second. But once you've gotten to the end of the Floating Fortress, you will fight the boss of this level. But I'll stop there for a second. I'll go back to the middle boss. Before you face the Floating Fortress, the mini boss, and to be fair, it's not too interesting because it's just the Type 2 Sky Clipper again. It's
level 1.
Yeah, it's the same middle boss at level 1 with one small addition. I mean, it looks identical. It's the same colour. Pattern's the same, but now it does have a small cluster of homing missiles. Also fire from the top of the turret section. You can destroy them with your bullets, so they're not really hard. It's just it does have this extra weapon now, so it's just something to watch for. But dies just as easy. And bear in mind, you're probably about level 5 or 6 now as well, at least in your power up, in your your experience. Your experience level. So you will take it out quite easy. So I will now jump forward onto the final boss of this level. Is the Aero Gunship Class 1, and this is one of the most impressive bosses in the game. It's, in fact, to me personally, it's one of the most impressive bosses in a horizontal shooter. For a good comparison, anyone who loves R-Type, right, remember the Mega Battleship, which is not just the boss of level 3, it is level 3. And this is that. This is exactly like that, as in you're fighting this enormous multi-screen filling airship that is just bristling with turrets and guns, but not in the same way that the Floating Fortress was. This is an actual, I mean, I don't know whether to call it a sprite in itself, 'cause it probably still is.
It's probably a background
yeah, moving background, but it lets you interact with it properly. Like hitting the ship itself will either do damage or not, depending on where you're hitting it, and you can destroy this as well, so it will actually explode. You get the satisfaction of destroying this thing. But anyway, you have to work your way all around it, and you start at the back, and you'll be taking out gun turrets and little hatches that will release planes and auto gyros, and you work your way along the top of it. Again, it's got the same type of gun turrets that are releasing multi-bullets. Take out as much of them as you can. You don't have to, but generally it's best to, because after a while it'll lead you around to the front of the ship, where you'll be faced by more little propeller guns.
Yeah,
or it could be actually a later version of this.
No, you've got when you go around to the front, there's like
two guns, propellers out.
The propellers don't fire at you in this one. It's just there's a couple of guns around there.
Thought that was right.
Yeah.
Thought that was right. So you don't have too much of danger going on the front, but you have to work your way around the bottom of it. And again, there's more like turrets in the belly as well. But the main area here, there's a couple of extending turrets as well that like move outwards and then fire and then go back in. So you don't have to destroy some of this stuff, but you're best off just doing it to make life easy. But then there's a small area with a armored cover, and you need to shoot this cover off, and that will reveal a big multi-gun turret in the belly, like within the ship itself, because you've actually blown a chunk out, and you need to hit this and destroy it multiple times. Hit it multiple times and destroy it. Sorry.
Well, it comes from the right first, and then it'll come from the left. So it's like there's two guns there, and they both come out at separate times.
Yeah, different times.
And so you've got to keep repositioning to make sure you
shooting backwards and forwards.
Upward mines,
and you use the mines. What you can do is here as well, if you're using the ZEP, which you should be, you don't even have to go into the hole really. Just keep your ship just slightly out, and just keep firing your mines in the general direction of which way the gun's going to come out of, and plus it'll do more damage anyway, and you'll destroy it before you know. But it's quite a long and interesting fight on it. It's quite enjoyable. So I like that fight. I like that boss.
It is. It's good.
You destroy that one, and you're then on to level 4, which is the Gordani Beach. Now,
this is a beautiful looking level. This one.
It's got a great tune as well, though. Gordani Beach. It's I mentioned earlier, but I'll mention it again. I mean, the parallax scroll in this level just looks fantastic. It's just great. New craft as well. I mean, you end up fighting little hovercraft on that now, which look like the waterborne versions of the tanks that you're seeing on level 1. So they look cool, and they come off the water and they just skim across the actual land and back in the water again. It just looks great. There's various massive cannons as well, which look like gigantic sort of vintage cannons with on cannon carriages and that on wheels and everything. So
when you're starting a level, you can the actual cannonballs are coming down at you, aren't they? But you can't see what's firing.
And you find out what's firing them later and see massive cannons. There's a couple of them in the level. I mean, they're generally they're not that dangerous really. It's more of just the attention to detail that this game shows. But again, and a lot of the old enemies appear as well. The middle boss in this one's quite unusual. It's something called the Sea Skimmer. And it's a middle-sized battleship. Again, it's about the size of the Type 2 Sky Clipper from level 1 and 3. But this is a whole different kettle of fish now. I mean, as much as it's not that imposing, it's a weird-looking thing. It's actually based on a manta ray, I would say, looking at it.
Yeah.
The design.
Well, I mean, I says yesterday, isn't it? It looks like it's a seafaring ship in the sky. And I suppose it's called a Sea Skimmer. Yeah. Maybe that's the intention. It can go in water.
That's what it looks like. So it's quite a cool looking thing, and it's got a rocket powered. It's got like a big propeller on the back actually. But this thing attacks with this is firing rockets at you and all sorts, and then you have to blow away a portion on the top, and that opens up something called a trumpet gun, and that fires tons of crap at you until you destroy it. So this is a 2-stage boss battle and all, and it takes quite a bit more punishment than the mid-level boss from level 1 and 3.
It takes some shots to take it down. Like
But it's, like I say, it's interesting boss once you've downed that.
Is this a level for the Zeppelin, do I think? It is, isn't it?
No, I would say this is a level for the striker.
I actually don't have one written down for this.
This is a surface level again to me, so I generally, plus it's much better for the final boss as well.
That's true, yeah, absolutely.
Which we'll get to now. Now it's the Navier or Navier submarine, depending on how it's pronounced. This is a massive purple submarine that, again, fights in a few different, has a few different levels to it, a few different phases. Initially, when the music changes, you'll just see a periscope come up out of the water.
It's actually quite small. You could probably miss it.
Yeah, you could.
Attention.
So you do need to pay attention because it's not just a periscope that comes up as well. It begins to fire tons of gigantic ballistic missiles. It made like vertical up, and they're all like in various. They tend to pop up in a certain way, so you need to move from one extreme edge of the screen to the other to avoid them.
Like you start at the left, hide at the very extreme left side, and they can't get you, and then you go to the right and stay at the very right side, and they can't get you there, and so on. I know it usually takes 2 or 3 rounds.
It's not tough. It's not too tough. Yeah, it's not too tough, but it's just again, it's an interesting way to introduce this boss because you know by then that there's obviously a submarine down there, but you don't know what exactly it is until it comes up, and it's an amazing looking thing. Again, it is a submarine, but it's very fish-like. I mean, it's got like sort of fins at the back and that, and it looks like something out of 20,000 Leagues Beneath the Sea. It looks like what Captain Nemo would have piloted.
There's a good use of vertical line scrolling as well on the submarine itself, as it looks like it rocks. On the surface of the water and that.
Oh yeah, that's right. That does happen on the Mega Drive version. I thought it happened on the other ones. I thought it was really well done. It's just to give it a bit more to that it's moving back and forwards a bit as well.
Yeah, like bobbing up and down. Yeah,
it looks great, but it has it attacks with rockets and does it have the missiles as well? Not because I mainly keep thinking.
I think it does. Yeah.
I know that the turret pops up as well, and that fires some more. I think that's got 3-way shots at you. Because once firing like 3-way shots straight at you. I just remember being kind of lethal, but if I remember right, you blow off the front of it, and then the turret's stuck out. You can't go back in.
I can't remember.
And at that point there, you just need to target the turret. Targeting the turret is the best way. It's quite lethal by now. I mean, you're talking about the bosses are getting pretty nasty, and this one does put up a hell of a fight. Like so, once you've destroyed it by taking out the turret, it'll be the end of the Navier submarine. So that's level 4. Level 5, it's probably another one of my favourites. This one is Damned City, yeah, and this is actually now the capital city of Motorhead. You're taking the fight to them now, and some similarities. Level 3. Now, the best vessel to take here is definitely the Zep. Yeah. I mean, because it's another fully air-to-air level, and when I get to the boss and all, you'll understand why it's much more closer to level 3 in the setup of the level. A lot of the same enemies are appearing now. You also have some very fast-flying kamikaze jets coming at you, and there's lots of them to do a lot of damage, and also you have to be on your toes with this. The background's great because it's a midnight scene. So you're looking at the city lit up at midnight, on the searchlights. Also worth mentioning that your capital ship, the Reinhardt, at this point, your ship is destroyed. This ship's been with you from the start of the game, as in it's been your flying aircraft carrier that you've always went back to for your missions. It's your mothership, basically, and that gets taken out by the boss, which I'll not tell you about just yet. This is the first level in the game that doesn't strictly have a middle boss. Instead, it's got 2 end bosses. So, interesting one, that. But what happens is you move to the first boss. The first boss is the Aero Gunship Class 2. Now, it's the same type of ship as the level 3 boss, but it's red now. But this one, apparently it's meant to be an upgrade, but to be honest, it should really be a middle boss, even though the music changes and it's classed as you're fighting 2 boss enemies, really. It goes down quite easy. You immediately, again, because there's a bit of script into this boss, you immediately go to fight it from the bottom. Like, you take out a few turrets at the back, then it leads you already straight around the bottom of the ship, and you immediately want to take out its belly gun, but now it has electric charges as well. So when you destroy that section, a small electric arc will appear in the gap. So you either lock yourself into the gap and risk getting damaged by the cannon, the multi-shot cannon, or again, if you've got these Zep, which you should have, you're probably safer to stay outside and fire the aerial mines into the gap.
Yeah, definitely.
But do watch out for that. It does give you an indication it's going to light up, but it's something that didn't happen on the first iteration of this boss, so do be careful. It's quite easy to destroy. This one does go down quite easy because after you've destroyed that, you immediately enter a battle with the Aero Gunship Class 3, which is their most powerful airship that they've created. And you fight that one in much the way you fought the first one, in that you'll have to take it out from the back first and then work your way along the top. But this time it's got much more firepower. Same type of firepower, much more. When you lead round to the front of the ship, you'll take on a couple of extra guns now in the form of the propeller guns. Again, they're nothing crazy to write home about. They literally fire propellers at you, so just be wary of that, because you didn't have to face that the first time round. Again, it's just a bit nastier overall. But then you work your way around to the bottom again, take it out from the bottom like you've done with the last two. But again, it now has the energy, the electricity arcs that the second gunship had. So just be wary. It takes about as long to fight as the very first one you fought in level 3. But it's interesting to take on 2 of these.
It's a hell of a frigging battle, though.
Yeah.
The good thing is, though, before you take them on, you get a wave of those UFO things, so you pick up some extra bombs and health and that.
And you will probably use a couple of bombs at a time to try and take out the cannon a bit quicker as well.
Yeah,
so just be wary of that.
I use all my bombs to try and take it out.
After that, you've beat this, you're on to level 6, which is the Germburn Fortress, and you're also in their mine city now. So it's got shades of level 1, and that you start out, you're looking at some almost familiar scenery, including the railway as well.
It is. It's full reverse, isn't it? You've went from defending your capital to now attacking their mining capital.
It's great. And again, I mean, by now you're seeing a lot of the same enemies. There's a few new types pop up here and there, but nothing much. Middle boss of this is actually the Colossus again, but it's like a lime green now, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's the same fight as the original boss from level 1, but now with the addition of homing missiles coming out of the spread cannon from the ship itself. It's got little homing missiles that fire out in a 360 degree fashion. So it's just a little bit extra to watch out for. But the overall fight's the same. Bear in mind, you should be probably fully powered up now, if not nearly. Yeah, I mean, at least about level 17 or 18.
The last playthrough I had, I was level 20 by the end of level 5.
Should be, really. So again, that goes down quite easy now. Going into, after you've defeated this boss, you fly along a little bit further. Just to say, no, the ideal vessel you should be using for this one is probably the Striker again.
Yeah.
Just like you did in level 1, to be honest. Because the bombs work the best. But the second section, you actually go down a cannon. You go down next to a gigantic cannon into the fortress itself. Now, it's the first level and only level. It scrolls constantly from right to left, diagonally downwards.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So you're going down left, you're heading down towards the down left, because there's something down there and it's not trapdoor. So you fight a lot of the same enemies you fought, but now you've got quite a tough section, this, because there's destructible sections of the castle, because that's effectively what it is, with battlements and that.
Underground castle,
yeah.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
It is, and you've got
there's like bridges where
you need to bomb them with your cluster bombs. You need to take them out with them. If you don't do that, you'll take damage from them. You're effectively getting caught, and you get trapped in areas on this level as well. The best bet to do that, if you do it, is to take advantage of the millisecond of invincibility you've got and just move through. That's one good thing about Steel Empire. If you do hit some background scenery, you don't get stopped by it. You can just move through it, but you'll take damage. But it doesn't necessarily mean death, but you will take a lot of damage by crashing into scenery. Move down a bit further until you're at the bottom, and you take on... This is an unusual boss, because what you fight here is actually a new version of the middle boss from level 4. And initially, to look at it, you probably put your guard down a little bit, because you'll just be thinking, hang about, all I'm fighting here is a middle boss from a much previous level. It's now called the Ground Skimmer, which makes sense because you're fighting it
underground.
Underground, on ground. Essentially, it does fight the same, but I remember it having a lot more hit points as well. Bear in mind, you're really powered up now, and this takes a lot of damage.
It was a lot, yeah. It took a long time to kill this fucker.
This has extra missiles as well. This has got a lot more firepower now. And again, it's not a very big boss, but there's not a massive amount of area to move in. So you're pretty much...
that's right, aye.
Yeah, it's pretty much stuck in the middle of the screen, so you don't have a lot of movement at any point, at any angle of this boss. So you're constantly on the move, just watching for everything. But you're fighting in the same general way, and that you're taking out the main turrets, and then you have to take out the trumpet gun on the top. Once you've destroyed that, you finish this level. And then the cutscene will show you get blasted into outer space.
Yeah, you travel further down the pipe, and as you're going down the pipe, you see a rocket being loaded into the pipe, and then you follow it in, which leads into level 7. The cutscene at the start of level 7 shows you the rocket being blasted out of the pipe, and then you, as the hero, closely following it.
Yeah. And what you're doing now is you're actually in pursuit of General Styron himself in his personal ship or ships. We'll get to that in a second.
In space.
In space, yeah. Well, absolutely in space. The one level that takes place in space, and for some reason your Zeppelin or your Striker, it should be the Zeppelin, by the way. Your Zeppelin or Striker in this level doesn't have any sort of crippling effect about being shot into space.
Well, we've already discussed it's next gen technology.
Well, there's that.
Cold fusion, isn't it?
Well, according to General Styron, or the manual anyway, for the game, the thing that you're about to fight, because I'll call it a thing for the second, is their first spaceship. There's no general normal enemies on this level. You've just got you've got them silver things on you where you're getting some. You can blow them up and get your
like the little parachute.
Them,
things.
Yeah, and that's it.
So yeah, you can pick up some bombs and energy and experience points if somehow you haven't managed to level up by this point.
The whole level is basically 2 boss fights, or almost 4, if you want to call that. The thing is, what you fight is first, and it comes on quite quickly. You fight a strange purple rocket ship called the Lunanaut. Now, this is apparently General Styron's personal ship, and it looks like nothing you've seen already. It does look more like a spaceship. It's more of a rocket with a strange rotating.
It looks like a big bullet.
It is like a bullet-shaped thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You fight this in 3 phases, actually, in 3 separate phases, as in every time you destroy it, or you think you've destroyed it, it leaves the screen, it comes back later, and it changes its weaponry with every time. Initially just fighting with bullets and that, but eventually by the time you get to the 3rd phase, it's got extendable gun turrets, arms with gun turrets, yeah.
You blow these off.
And they're firing multiple cannon shots, very fast shots as well, directly at you. So it changes its fighting style 3 times, and after you've hit it enough times in the 3rd phase, it'll be destroyed and it'll go down properly, and you'll see the crashed remains in the moon. And when you move so far along a bit further, the scrolling stops and the music changes to the final boss theme, and you take on General Styron, and he's basically his escape pod, although to call it that is an understatement, because basically you're confronted by what looks like a laughably stupid little blocky little thing that looks like it should go down with a couple of bullets. It's known as the Emperor Scout. I mean, when you hear the name Scout, you think of something that's like small and weak and probably trying to get away. Don't be underestimated, honest. Don't underestimate this thing at all.
This thing has found the elixir for invincibility or something, because I tell you what,
it's absolutely pure armor, isn't it? This thing is pure armor.
Sponge.
Now, even with level 20, this takes a long time to take out. Now, we've tried to take this thing out using a level select at level 1. It takes about half an hour. The fighting itself isn't that hard once you know how to beat it. It's got that many different phases. It literally, the manual states that it has every single weapon that they used, and I would say it does.
Yeah.
I mean, just about every single type of bullet that you've seen from every single type of ship and tank and whatever else in this game is fired by this thing. And the great thing is, when you've done enough damage, and you never know when you've done enough damage, the phase will change dramatically. Its movement will change, the way it moves, and
the
eventually,
weapon it's using seems to change as well.
I would say it has at least 6 different phases. I've never even worked out exactly how many it has, but by the end of it, eventually it'll sit at the right hand side of the screen, and it'll move up and down slowly, and it'll extend 2 arms out, which will fire bullets. And then when you do a lot more damage, the arms will extend out even further, and the ship just sits in the rear middle of the screen and doesn't move anymore. But at this point, it starts firing out walls of flame, which are completely unavoidable unless you use the asteroids that are slowly moving backwards. You have to hide behind them to avoid damage, otherwise you'll always take hits. It's at this point that if you've got any lightning bombs, you're probably best off just finishing the thing off as quick as you can. But this thing takes over 5 minutes to beat. So it takes about as long as a level to beat. Even on like when you're at full power, but once you've done enough damage, it eventually goes down, and General Styron will go down as a prick, a dead one.
Yeah, well, that honestly, mate, I lost. I think you'll see in the playthrough. In fact, my first playthrough I died on the final boss when he started firing the walls of flames. Because for me, those flames, it was like paying tax. It was fucking unavoidable. It was just. He got us, he killed us. He must have been just about to die and all. And then my second playthrough, because I didn't save state or anything like that, I did it properly. I got him, but you'll see on the playthrough, it'll probably be around about now actually on the video. I'm just literally stood in front of him, peppering him with bombs and shooting him in the face, trying to kill him because I didn't think you'd avoid them flame attacks.
He's not really hard. It's actually kind of enjoyable. It's kind of I find it quite a good fight as long as you're powered up and you know you're going to take 5 minutes to sort of beat him.
I definitely did better with my second playthrough with him, but my first playthrough, he just wiped us out.
Do you know what I love though? I loved about this boss is that you fought things that are literally about 4 screens big, right? You fought things like just even the first main boss, which was still about twice as big as the screen. And then the final boss is this little midget. And you're like, it makes it so personal. Like you're looking into the window of this little ship, you're thinking, that bastard's looking at me out of this window. We don't even know what General Styrone looks like. You know, we have no pictures of this character because I would have loved to see what this person looks like, you know, in the game. Which is something we'll get to about another game later on before we end. You know, and you never do. But it's like, well, you know, we're going to take this bastard out either way. And it's personal because it's almost like a dogfight because the ship he uses is like only about twice as big as you know. Yeah. So it's great. It's enjoyable. Like it's a good last fight, I think.
You shoot the shit down, and then you get the end credits, which were discussed a bit earlier with the Dolby surround rip off and that on it, which is great. You know, good attention to detail. I played the 3DS version as well after I played my 2 playthroughs of the Mega Drive version. And I remember, the stereoscopic 3D, not as impressive as Streets of Rage's use of stereoscopic 3D, but it was still good. And, you know, the parallax scrolling and that on the levels looked great.
I thought that would look good.
The graphics were touched up a bit, so they look a bit nicer and everything, you know.
Yeah, we've got to compare the 3DS to the GBA, haven't you? The GBA obviously is a remake of the Mega Drive version, but it does its own thing to some degree as well. If you can play the 2 versions, you could pick up and play the GBA after play the Mega Drive and do well because they don't change the playability much, and it's not like a totally new game, you know, or with a new control system.
It's just a few changes to like some of the bosses.
The aesthetic. Well, I'll mention that if you like. I'll not spend too much time on it though, but I do. Generally speaking, we could even lump the GBA and DS almost together here, but worth talking about separate. The GBA does look better than the Mega Drive version, more colourful, but it doesn't sound anywhere near as good. I'll say that much, which is a shame. It's the music's nowhere near as good actually, but where it does improve on the Mega Drive, change. Some improvements, some not, but most of the basic enemies and that, and the player characters are pretty much identical. The same design of the Mega Drive. It's not the same sprites, but you can see that it's based on the old sprites. But some of the bosses have been completely redesigned, and some of them look better, some of them don't look as good, but some of them are just interesting. So, like for instance, level 1, the Type 2 Sky Clipper looks a bit different, you know. The same basic designs there, but it's just like its overall aesthetic is not identical, but you can see it's maybe the same ship. But the end of level boss, the Colossus, it probably isn't even called the Colossus Cannon Train anymore because the actual cannon on the Mega Drive version is gone. It now has it's got 2 carriages, which have both got like sets of normal turrets. But where it does surprise you a bit, which is quite cool still, is that now it's got nasty missiles that fire out the back of the locomotive itself. So they work almost exactly in a way that the cannon did, but now they're fighting you from the front. So it's more of a little twist than either an improvement or a step back. And depending on if you like this or not, I don't personally, but the locomotive, the train itself now looks more like a steam train, where in the Mega Drive version it looks like a Russian armoured train from World War One, and that's deliberate. I think it's absolutely deliberate. So it does look a little more generic, this boss on the GBA version. Now, to lump the DS version in there as well, bear in mind the 3DS version generally copies the look of the GBA. Music's better overall, but the look is similar. But it introduces better effects like particles and that for certain things. And
you do. You get some more post effects.
Yeah. So it is different, but it keeps the general design of most of the enemies and bosses and that. Although a change to the Colossus in the DS version, it's only a little one, is that, and I liked it though, it was quite cool, is that when the music changes now, instead of you sort of, you like coming across the train from in front of you, it charges in from behind on the 3DS version, which looked cool because that was like a nice little surprise, you know. So nothing major, but something that the Mega Drive and the GBA version didn't do. Level 2, I felt seeing one of the biggest changes. What happens there is you're still in the caves, but on the GBA and 3DS version now, the tunnel tank and the mold tank, if it's even meant to be the same sort of tanks, both have quite a few redesigns. I mean, the tunnel tank itself, now it still extends, or doesn't it? It still extends up.
I believe it does.
And it does all the way as well now. I think the full whole fight it does now. So, but it looks a bit different anyway. But when you destroy the tunnel tank now, the mid-level boss, it actually it ignites. You see it ignite on screen and actually ignites the whole screen with flame. So you know now where the initial gas explosion come from. Now, that didn't happen in the Mega Drive, so it was a nice. It's nothing more than an aesthetic improvement, but it's a good one. But the end boss, the mold tank, if it still is the mold tank, is completely redesigned. It doesn't have any obvious drill attachments now. It actually has what's more considered an extendable battering ram on the back, I think, because I think that's the back.
I've only put through it once, so I'm struggling to remember the details.
It's got some other general similar armament to the Mega Drive version, but where on the Mega Drive, when you've done enough damage to its turrets, the top section would lift off. That doesn't happen now. The top section stays put. What happens now is the whole damn tank jumps. It can jump over you and that, so you've got to be wary of that. But once you've done enough damage to that top section, the whole thing pops. So, but the overall shape and design of the tank's completely different, which I quite like the look of because it's bigger. It's a bit bigger than the original mold tank. So, but as I said, I wouldn't really call it a mold tank now because it doesn't have any drill attachments.
It's not a tunnel boring machine anymore.
No, not at all. But level 3, any change with level 3, which there's a couple, I think. The middle boss is still a version of the level 1 boss. I mean, it just has the same upgrades. It doesn't really change. You now fight the aero gunship, which is pretty much still the same. I don't remember any obvious change, but the shape's identical. In fact, the gunships, I think, are the one boss where they pretty much keep the design the same, except for the later versions that have multiple colours of them, as opposed to just like a green and red one. So no real change to level 3. Level 4, we see some changes on, probably some of the more noticeable ones. The sea skimmer, as we called it, which me and Mark agree, would say looks very much like a manta ray or stingray, we've already said. The design of this now, I mean, I can't see anything but a duck.
All right. I didn't notice.
Yeah, honest, just look at it again.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this would be called the same, if it has a different name, because I can't find a source for this. It could be still the same ship, just a complete redesign. But it has some different weaponry now as well because of that. And you're targeting the top of it now, because it literally it's shaped like a duck with a duck's head, like with a duck's beak and everything. So, bizarre looking thing, but nice to see a redesign. But this is one time where I do prefer the original design for the Mega Drive, just like the Colossus from level 1. But now this is a little section now where I actually prefer the DS and 3DS versions. Well, quickly, sorry, go back to what we call the duck. Well, the 3DS version of the Sea Skimmer is redesigned again from the GBA version. I mean, the same basic shape is there, but what was a duck's head now doesn't look like a duck's head anymore, and instead now it's got like a big air balloon section added to it. So it does change the gameplay a bit because it actually takes up a lot more room. Which, if you compare both the GBA and 3DS versions, the two middle bosses from level 4, you'll see the difference. So that's the one middle boss, apart from another one we'll talk about in a second, that's been does have some redesigns without being a complete redesign. But the end boss, the Naviair submarine, remains the same for both versions. But this is one boss where I love the redesign more than the Mega Drive original. Now, if I remember right, you don't fight the periscope at all. When the music changes, the ship actually comes shooting straight out of the water on the surface. So if you're too low in the water, you'll crash into it. It's a little bit almost like the shock of like the Colossus in the 3DS version, just like ploughing into you from behind. So that was quite cool, I thought. But the main fight stays the same. It just looks drawn better a bit, that's all. It does have some nice sort of rotational effects on now in the air where it dips and yaws backwards and forwards, a bit like what you saw in the Mega Drive version of the water.
Line swollen.
And it looks quite cool because it's the whole sprite, obviously with the newer hardware being able to do that, it looks very cool. When you destroy it as well, it dips down as it goes back in the water, so I thought that looked good. Pretty much stays the same Mega Drive besides that. Level 5, you fight the two gunships again, and as in level 4. These are very similar to the Mega Drive versions, except they're different colours now. With the GBA version being, I believe one's like light red and then one's dark red, where in the 3DS one is a dark green or blue, I believe it is, while one's still red. They change the colours, but the actual basic weaponry of these enemies stays the same. Level 6, you've got the Colossus again. Exactly what you fought already, no real change at all, stays the same. And the end of level boss again is what we'd call the ground skimmer. And once again, it's a palette swap of the level 4 mid boss, but with the extra weaponry attached.
Right.
So again, that applies to both versions, or GB and 3DS. So you'll be fighting either the duck or you'll be fighting either the airship.
Quack.
If you want to call it quack quack. But I will spend just a little bit more talking about the last level here, because this is where there's a much more obvious change. Not with the Lunar Naut, which, bear in mind, remember, is the large spaceship, bullet-shaped rockets that you fight, as sort of the middle boss, if you want to call it that. Again, just like the Mega Drive version, there's no popcorn enemies in this level apart from power-ups, power-up balloons. That boss stays pretty much identical to the Mega Drive version, but at the end of the GBA version now, instead of what was the Emperor Scout, which we've already discussed, you fight, again, I don't know if it's meant to be the Emperor Scout in this version, in the GBA version, but you fight what looks more like a bathyscaphe, like a flying submersible, isn't it? Like a mini... like an egg, like a flying egg, and it moves completely different. It fights totally different, doesn't it? Yeah. It's got completely different phases. No single phase of this vessel attacks at all like the Emperor Scout of the Mega Drive version, where even going back to the middle boss of level 4, the weaponry and the fights and the ways it attacks and moves are quite similar to the Mega Drive version. So although the sprite's different, it does cover a different size of screen and that, which would change gameplay a bit. The overall fight's not too dissimilar, but this thing you fight here, it's just completely different. But you destroy it in its multiple phases, and you'll beat the game. But in the 3DS version, now this is a really pleasant surprise, because I don't know if the Emperor Scout from the Mega Drive version has a fan base, right, or something. But this was just great, because I haven't actually played the 3DS version.
I've never played the GBA version, so I was surprised.
This was great though. This was a great little twist on it. So again, on level 7, you fight the egg, if you want to call it that. But after you destroy the egg, an alarm sounds, and then the Emperor Scout appears, and it's a classic Emperor Scout from the Mega Drive version, apart from a new sprite, but it's the same model, and it's got the same attack pattern, hasn't it?
A little bit easier to fight this time.
Mark says a little bit easier, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, if I'm honest, mate, the 3DS version, I think I probably got up to like stage 5 before I lost a life. It was so much easier.
Well, again, though, I wonder if, we're talking about that power-up, there might have been a few of those through the game. The Golden Heart, I think it was. That powers up all the way.
I don't remember seeing one, but I'm not saying it wasn't there. But it was definitely an easier game
if it was a DS
than the Mega Drive one.
The GBA.
Yeah.
But like I say, those two newer versions, the GBA came out in 2004, and I think the 3DS 2012.
It also came out on PC.
Yeah, PC, which is the 3DS version, yeah. In fact, to be fair, the actual long play I've watched is the PC version, but I know 100% that is the
wouldn't be
3DS
surprised
version.
if it was actually out on the PlayStation, Xbox and all. I've just never looked. Like that PC version. It
might well be. I hope it is. Well, it's coming out on the Wii U, on the Switch. It's coming out on the Switch.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised why it wouldn't come out. But they're also releasing a pack as well called the Steel Empire Chronicles, which introduces also an older Hot B game that came out on the NES, which isn't connected to Steel Empire at all, so I'm not talking about. But if you want to get that pack, they're usually quite cheap. It's actually, the pack does come with all 3 main versions of Steel Empire, as in the Mega Drive, GBA and 3DS. I think it's a bit misleading Chronicle, because as we discussed before outside of the podcast, to me, a Chronicle means that you're playing maybe a trilogy or even 2 games. Like we get a lot of the Neo Geo fighting game packs. There'll be just 2 games. There'll be a sequel, so you can play those 2 games chronologically and play a story, that's got a beginning and an end. Where Steel Empire isn't.
It's a bit of a misleading title.
Yeah, it is, and especially since as well the other game, which the name actually escapes us at the minute, is not related to Steel Empire in any way. It's actually a horizontal space shooter. Again, coming out on the Famicom, and I think there was a NES release, but to me, it's got no link to it, so I don't know why. I think what would have made it a much more interesting pack was if they'd, making a new game, maybe they didn't want to do that, but if they'd just introduce like loads of material, like loads of story material and making of and PR stuff and that, because it sounds like there was a lot that went into this game. So at least in Japan, if not in America, and we know Acclaim, because Flying Edge, Acclaim, we know that Acclaim is well known for its PR. So, it would have been nice to have seen things like that, like some materials that would have went into promoting the game, because that would have made it more of a chronicle, because you can look at that and say, well, there's other parts to the story which are not contained in the game itself, but it is what it is. But again, I don't know the price of this package, but it's out shortly, so if that interests you, the Steel Empire Chronicle.
I think we'll probably talk the shit out of this. So is there anything else you want to bring up? Or
I think we're good. Now, I don't know if you want to quickly talk about a couple of alternatives now, or talk about them after the review. Let's do them
after the reviews.
Yeah.
So I'll go first this time, mate. I'm not gonna hang about.
I know I've already get this game.
I think it's a very, very accomplished shooter on a 16-bit system. It's fantastic. Like I said before, graphically and music, you could easily confuse it for an arcade game if you didn't know it was running on a Mega Drive. Really enjoyed playing through this again this week, to the point where I fancy going back for another game later tonight, maybe if I've got time. But look, for me, it's a solid 9. It's a very, very good shoot 'em up, or pew pew if you prefer.
Well, we are looking at it. I'm going to compare it against an earlier video that we did on a completely different game in a completely different style, Street to Rage. I really like Street to Rage 1, but I've never considered it a very impressive game. As I said at the time, I says it's a great game. It's built on the Golden Axe engine. It's a very good game. It's obviously surpassed by its sequels and other beat-em-ups, as I said at the time. But it didn't blow us away. It didn't blow us away. Even then, it was just great. And it was. Yeah, there's a year between. They came out in 1991, so it's a little bit earlier than Steel Empire, fair enough. And in that year, I'm sure the developers have gotten to grips with the hardware and stuff. But it didn't blow us away completely. It did in stills more than it did in the actual game, but it was a great game. But anyway, Steel Empire blew us away to look at. That's why as I said, it's a game that held no interest for me until I seen Mark playing it. And when I seen him playing that and I heard the music kick in and I saw what he was fighting and that, what the boss, I just wanted to see more bosses. I wanted to see what the next boss looked like and the next boss after that. And it was like, so when you actually get that sort of vibe from a game and you want to hang around, you want to watch someone playing it just to see what's going to pop up next, what fantastic creations are just going to appear on your screen. That is a great game. Now, the other thing with me is I am a soft arse as well when it comes to shooters. I do get frustrated easy now, and I got frustrated easy then. So I'm not one of these who likes to grind for hours and then lose me progress. So Steel Empire absolutely just feeds into my sort of way of playing any game. So being able to keep on progressing, it makes it a little bit easier. Obviously, you've got multiple hits as well. But the game is still tough. It's a long game, and it puts up a good fight, even on the easy mode. I mean, you'll not just crawl, you'll not just breeze through it, I mean, you've got to be wary. I mean, there's certain sections that are hard. Like the caverns are definitely a nasty section. Anywhere like when you're on level 3 and you're up against the floating fortress, and you've got to be careful where you move and that. Germ-burn fortress on level 6 because that's got a few enclosed areas that you've got to be careful. And just as I said, all the bosses having various different phases and different weapons and that. So you're not just going in and just pumping a few shots into a character and then it goes down. I mean, I hate shooting games where you'll fight a boss for like 2 or 3 minutes, which is a long time, and all you're doing is just firing bullets into its backside until it blows up.
Yeah. The only time it's actually taking damage because it's flashing a little bit.
Yeah, and if that, I've played games where some bosses don't even do that, so you spend that time, especially when you first play it, wondering if you're even damaging this thing, and it might have multiple turrets all out, whatever, but you don't take them out. So I love this little strategy element to Steel Empire where you get to take out sections of a boss, which obviously some toe plan shooters are famous for as well, and many other shooters as well later, but not all. But like I say, the game itself just fantastic. The graphics are just great. Graphics, music, the effort you can clearly see a 10 out of 10 effort put into making this game what it is. And just the story. Love put it in the story. It's a game that's been crafted. It hasn't just been developed, it's been crafted, They've actually sat down, they've just went through everything here. It looks like everything came together. It's a game where I can't find any single element. If the only criticism I have, and really, I've got to find a criticism to avoid giving a game a 10, which is my rule. I'll try and never give a game a 10. If I give a game a 10, then I can't find a game that will surpass it. So even another game won't get 10. You'll know about that. But I would say the only time where it falls a tiny little bit is where there's a bit of slowdown here and there because there's a lot happening on the screen. And again, that's just the Mega Drive groaning underneath the stress of obviously this just mammoth of a game, you know, because that's what it is. And I mean, that was most noticeable for me on a section of level 3. And although there is another couple of sections, I believe,
the last fight slowed down a little bit.
I couldn't even remember offhand. It was just that one part in level 3, and then that was it. So for me, it's a solid 9 as well. A solid and well-deserved 9. Beautiful game. I always use that word, I think, but that's what it is. You know, and it's. I hope Steel Empire lives on, and going by what I'm hearing, and obviously they're still making releases of it, even if they are just re-releases. That to me is a game with a lot of long legs, and it's going to go further. I mean, there is talk of the main developer possibly trying to make a sequel at some point in the future, which I sincerely hope that they stick to the same style. I don't want any 3D Panzer Dragoon rip-off or Star Wing rip-off or something. I want to stick to a really beautiful looking 2D shooter that
2D side-scrolling
2D shooter uses a graphic style similar to maybe Streets of Rage 4 or something. So that's my review. You know,
a well-deserved score. I think 18 out of 20, or 9 out of 10.
Absolutely.
So yeah, recommendations.
Well, we'll skim quickly, but there's 3, isn't there?
3 main ones.
3 main ones will do
it. The first and best one for me is Pro Gear. In the arcade. Yeah. CPS2.
What year was that? Was that 96?
Don't want to say death, but it'll be around about that.
Put this way, I think now, but we've mentioned this because we mentioned it there. We have to do an article on this as well. Pro Gear is Steel Empire cranked up to 50, and it should be because it did at least come out in 96. It might be 98. So it means that, you know, Steel Empire came out in 92. I mean, and plus it's CBS2 hardware. I mean,
developed by Cave.
And developed by Cave using their systems. I mean, this is absolutely. I mean, look, I'll try again because if we go into these in too much detail, we're going to be here 3 hours. So we won't do it. But what I will say is it's ultra impressive. And one feature that this game does, which I really, really love, and Steel Empire would have been a 9.5, is that because I love the bosses so much, and I love the bosses of this game so much as well, it actually introduces you to the bosses before each fight and gives you a portrait and a little sort of like, a little bit smack talk, and you get a little bit of a victory or a defeat quote after you've beat them. So, you know, I mean, they're even more outlandish than the stuff you've seen in Steel Empire, and we will not discuss it now. We'll move on to another game, which is
Boogie Wings.
Which I only found out with this game recently, but I'll let Mark go into this one.
Yeah, so Boogie Wings, was it Data East, if I remember right?
Data East, yeah. And it never got released on anything.
So this game, it feels like almost a spiritual successor to like Steel Empire in a way.
It's basically Steel Empire, but with Monty Python.
Yeah, it's batshit crazy, this game.
Yeah, this is...
But Jesus, is it a good shooter, mate?
It's crazy in the extreme when you realise what you get to do in it. It takes the same vibe of Steel Empire and Pro Gear
as well some days. So
the thing is, I'll go against the grain of me normally wanting to just talk about games that I've loved from childhood, and I only discovered this game quite recently and only played it twice and watched one walkthrough. But it was so, as Mark says, batshit crazy and so different as a horizontal shooter as well. Still, that we just need to touch on this again. I mean, you can describe your grappling hook. I mean, we've got
you've got
this mechanic.
You've got it looks more like an anchor on a chain on the bottom of your airplane, and it's got like it's a mace, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can swing this thing around, smash stuff, and don't you drop it as well at some point?
You can pick up elephants, mate. You can pick up elephants and soldiers. I mean,
it's like a hook as well.
The thing is, you can pick up anything. You can literally latch onto anything. And some of the things are crazy outlandish. I mean, you can latch onto zoo animals. You can pick up soldiers and tractors and tanks and start throwing them around. I mean, some things actually have a bearing on the game. I'm not going to tell you about the bosses at all because, again, the bosses are crazier than anything ever. I mean, this stuff is just, I wouldn't even say it's nightmares, it's fever dreams. LSD dreams. This has to have been made by people who are on something. I say, when you initially play it and that in the storyline of the game, it looks like you're going into, again, a steampunk, which it is to some extent, but a steampunk shooter similar to the games previously mentioned. But by the end of it, you come out of it feeling like you've just been through a hall of mirrors. You know, absolute mentalist.
Crazy, but really good game. And the last one is one you mentioned to me.
Yeah, that's got it. This game was released by UPL, which are a little less well known.
UPN, isn't it?
Well, it's UPL initially, but then NMK had a hand. But they released one of my favourite horizontal shooters, which is Mustang. That might have an article one day, but it's quite a generic game, but I really like it. But a more well-known game from these people, so you can get a vibe for Stroll, is actually P47. And they were involved in the making of that, which had its own sequel, which actually has also a very similar steampunk vibe. The P47 Aces feels a bit like a steampunk with the ship.
This Stroll, I'll be honest, I played through this today after you mentioned it. I wasn't impressed at all.
It's not as good, but it's got an unusual mechanic, with the it's got a turret in the back on it where you swinging it around that and you're shooting different weapons off the back of it.
You can select different weapons. What I did like about it, you get a certain amount of weight, like loading allowed on your craft. And that loading, I think, was 1,600 kilograms. You can pick your weapons that you want to use. So you can pick your normal shot. You can pick like a special shot. Then you can pick your bomb type.
Yeah.
And each one has a different weight assigned to it. So you're not allowed to overload. And then any weight you've got left, you can select the bomb. It'll give you as many bombs as you can carry up to your fully laden weight.
Yeah.
So it's quite clever.
It's got the vibe. I mean, it's got the look still again. It looks like it's talk of aliens in the story.
To me.
It's an earlier shooter as well. I mean, it come out actually about the same time as Steel Empire, but in the arcades.
I think it was.
But it wasn't well received. It wasn't well known. But it is, again, if you're someone who's a completist of arcade shooters and you just want to have a go or even just watch a long play, it's worth it. It's worth checking it out because it's got some unusual looking bosses mind.
What's its full name? Because you don't find it if you just look
Kotetsu Stroll. It's funny he's got that same part of the name as him in the Steel Empire.
Aye, right.
Kotetsu Stroll. Aye.
Kotetsu Stroll.
Aye. You're fighting a mad doctor who basically wants to take over the world. I've looked at the story and he's like from alien planet or something. So it's nothing. It's what you expect from the time, really.
I think if you had to pick one out of them three,
Pro Gear.
Go get Pro Gear.
For me,
honestly,
I mean,
wow.
Like I said, Boogie Wings is amazing in that, but just Pro Gear is just so obviously impressive in that, and it's so polished. I mean, and it's such a rare game to pick up if you like collecting PCBs. I mean, the Japanese version, not so much. If you were to go into Yahoo Japan auctions now, you'd probably get one for about $400-500. Yes, you will pay more than a couple hundred, unfortunately. But if you try to get a Western release, apparently it's in 4 figures now. So if you collect a PCBs, the Western release of Pro Gear, it's got a different name in Japan. I can't remember the name offhand now, but I'm just using the English name to make it simpler. It's Arashi Pro Gear or something. I think Pro Gear is still part of the title. But as far as I know, both versions are identical apart from the different language on screen. So there's nothing. There's no subtle or noticeable differences even.
But I think that just about wraps it up for us, mate.
Yeah, that's been a really pleasurable episode as well because it's a game. As I said, it's just I can play this anytime. I love it's timeless. I'll say Steel Empire. Yeah, it just looks so fantastic. Still, all 3 versions are great.
But if you've made it this far, thank you very much. And next week will be something slightly different. I'll explain more in the introduction, which we will be recording next. As always, if you've enjoyed the content, please give us a like, subscribe to the podcast or the channel on YouTube. Leave us some comments, get in touch with us, and if it's a good comment, starts a discussion, we'll read it out and we'll continue that discussion with you as well. And from us, it's a good night, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.